Okay, so today I'm gonna give you a tutorial on how to clean the split system air conditioner room unit. It's not really difficult, but there's a couple of things that you'll need first. You're definitely gonna need a Phillips head screwdriver. You'll also need some sort of brush, preferably something not with too thick of a support system for the bristles. You've got to get in some tight spaces. I find toothbrushes with long bristles to be really good, or if you can find something like this will work really well also. Another important thing is this particular product here, sold at Home Depot, mostly Home Depot, sometimes Lowe's, only sold in the springtime because it's usually when people clean their air conditioning units. This stuff works really well, so get a good close look. This is what you'll need. Pick it up at your Home Depot sometime in the spring. I'd stock up on it because you probably need anywhere from usually about 1 can per unit, and I think they're about $5 a can. They come in boxes of 12, so just pick up a whole box if you can. You also need some sort of eye protection. That's important because you got a lot of stuff flying back at your face. One of the other things I find to be helpful is a headlamp unit. These things here, the brighter the better. They do angle so that you can get the right angle when you're looking up into the AC unit. Really important for this. And then if you have an air compressor, get yourself an air compressor. I got a 50-foot hose in mine, but maybe 25 will work depending upon where yours is situated. And then make sure you have a nice blower. Blower works as well. Bucket of water. Bucket of water is really good to have up close with you on the ladder. You do need a ladder, whether it be a 6-foot or 10-foot, depending upon where your unit is on the wall. The bucket of water is to rinse out your brushes kind of as you're working away through the wheel, which I'll get into later on. So first things first, we got to remove that cover and get to the bits and pieces in that. So here we go. Okay, so all units are a little bit different, so you have to know which unit's yours, which one you got. First thing you're going to do is lift up the lid. Some of them have, you just pull on the sides just to remove the lid. Some also have a little lever here that you do have to move up and down to release the pinch point on the lid. So once you get the lid removed, you're going to pull your screens out, and hopefully your screens won't have too much debris on them, but you do have to clean those off, which I'll go into later as well. Next thing you're going to do is remove this panel. This right here is really, you have to be really careful when removing this because there's little pins that hold it in place that are very, very sensitive, very dense wrenchable. So what I like to do is, here, if I can take this for just a second, I will take these right here and I will push it in and it moves a little bit. Okay, and at the same time I'm gonna pull down on here, which you'll see in just a second. So I'm gonna push on this, I'm gonna pull down, and I've got one released. Do not try to go for the corner first because you'll likely break that. So at this point you can pull down more and then the corner pulls out nice and easy. Okay, so you've got it loose. Same thing with this one here. You're gonna pull back on the black tab, releasing that. This last point here, you have to use caution because there is a spring here. So please be really cautious not to lose this spring. It's really important as well. All right, so now you've got 2 parts off. From this point here, you have to locate your holding screws. This particular unit has 3. 1 on the left side, 1 on the right side, and then 1 right alongside. Those are the only 3 that hold this unit on. So we're gonna go ahead and remove those. Okay, so the last screw is off. All right, now it has 2 locking clips on the top It's hard to see from your angle, but what I like to do is you got to know where they are, and you're just basically pulling up on the lid, and you can hear them unclip. Okay, and let me see this. I'll show you, give you an idea. There's one in this corner, and then there's one in this corner, and all I did was lift up, just like this. You're gonna lift up, and that releases that, okay? Following releasing that, grab both sides carefully, and we're just gonna pull back. Some units do have screws on the bottom and also pinch points, which you just gotta be careful on. So please know where your locking clips are on each unit is different, okay? All right, so now that you've got the casing off of it, what I've taken the liberty to do is inside there's a wheel that spins. This wheel had a bunch of plastic clips, which you'll probably notice on yours, as well as a rotating louvers that allow the air to rotate back and forth when on. I just went ahead and clipped off all of that stuff and got rid of it. Makes it a lot easier to clean this wheel rather than trying to get in between grills and grates and stuff like that. Okay, so long beach towel, like I mentioned earlier, you have to have a long beach towel, and the reason for this is because it is going to wrap up the sides. All right, so bear with me while I put this on. You're going to use the screws that you removed in some areas where the screw goes. You can put the screw back in through the towel. Okay, so this is where you grab your foam cleaner. All right, take the cap off. You're not going to need this. This bristle does no good for you. What you want to do is inside here on that wheel that I explained to you, it does spin. So you're going to take this, you're going to shake it up really good. Already shaking it. And you're going to rotate the wheel as you're spinning, trying to coat the entire wheel. Comes out really straight, and it will bunch up at the tip of the nozzle, so you have to keep it clean every so often. Make sure you spray the entire wheel. Just going to give it a chance to set in and settle, loosen up and break up any debris that's on that wheel. Okay, while the foam is penetrating this, we'll go outside and clean these off for now. So Simple Green works really well, especially in a spray bottle. Use your bucket of water that you have with one of your bristle brushes. And just kind of get in the little grooves. These little pins collect more of the dirt and debris, the dust. So just give it a good cleaning all the way through. Scrub it all around, rinse it as you need. Make sure you got everything off, front and back. Take your hose and rinse it off. Same thing with each piece, just do the same thing. This particular piece here, it's really important that you use a bigger bristle because you've got some deep spots that you really need to get in and get the dust and dirt off. It's more of the grime. The hose will get a lot of the dust off, but you really got to get in those spots, especially inside areas like this. You've got to get the bristles in there to really clean that out. these are your screen filters. These are going to clean every single month anyway. I like to do it on the first of the month. This way it just kind of gets into a system. You don't forget to do it every single month. Even if it goes 2 months, not the end of the world, but it's easier to clean them just every month, just get the film off. And really all I do is just give them a good rinse with the hose. I've already cleaned these off recently, so they're not really dirty. Put them up against the hard substrate, just kind of spray them off, front and back. You're gonna get all the loose dust and dirt off of it. Once you get these nice and clean, what I like to do is grab them by the sides, the sturdy side in one hand, and just lightly tap the screens. That'll get most of the water off. It doesn't take forever to dry, as you can see. And then just set them in the sun with everything else. Now we'll go inside and clean the other unit. All right, this is the time-consuming process. This is where you're going to need to take your time. Find the right type of brush that works for you, whether it's a toothbrush with long bristles, any other kind of utility brush with long bristles as well, or if you've got something similar to this that you can sneak inside the little grooves, that'll work really well also. So one at a time, you're just going to work with it. Make sure you got your safety goggles on, get your little headlamp in the right position for you to see what's going on. And this is what we're going to do. See all the little grooves? Take your brush and you're just going to go inside each little groove. You're going to rotate it and go to the next little groove. Rotate it and go to the next groove. And you just keep working each groove by groove by groove. This does definitely take some time. Yeah.
So, Megan and the band
when you're doing this, fans are very, very, very helpful. Sometimes extra spray helps. Another thing I find helpful is just giving it a good spray down with some just water, simple water, and let it spray off. It'll all drain down onto the towel, as you can see. Okay, so after you've gotten your scrubbing all done, now you're going to grab your air compressor blower, your blower tool, and you're just going to blow it out as much as possible. Please remember your eyewear. It's very important. And here we go. Small rag towel can be helpful to hold it in place, and use your hand to kind of spin that wheel a little bit so that you make sure that you get all the debris off of every little groove. Okay, here we go. Pushing the towel up underneath the wheel, letting it get back as far as possible, helps to get a lot of that grime off the back there. You can see stuff that you can't reach or stuff that you have loosened up. It's definitely helpful. So you see here on the elements, you've got some mold kind of throughout, some other areas of mold, and then some dust and debris caught up in the elements as well. If you go up on the top here, basically looking down on it, you can see that there's lots of dust and debris inside these little holes. This piece does not come off, but you can still clean up all this dust and dirt Even in the back here, it's kind of difficult to see, but there's all that dust back there. So all that can be cleaned up. You're gonna have to spray it and then scrub it. Get in there with the toothbrush or your long bristle brush as much as you can and get that cleaned up. Spray the foam cleaner liberally all over the elements. Be careful not to get too much on the electrical stuff back there. And then also you want to make sure that you get all that stuff soaking. All right, just let that sit about 10-15 minutes and then you can get back to it with the brush. Okay, now that the element is cleaned, you can see most of the dust and mold is out of the element. Make sure it's dry of any water. Once you've got it cleaned up as much as possible, what I like to do is, at this point, go ahead and turn the unit on. Change your fan setting to high and let it blow out any loose debris that it might have in there. Okay, now we'll go out and get the main parts to put it all back together. Unit cleaned up, time to put it back together. Just simply slide the main unit right back over. You'll hear clicks. You know it's back in place. Please make sure you remember to put the screws back in the 3 places that it goes. There's one on the side. And then there's 2 in the face, both right and left sides. Note, right next to here, there's another cover. This cover does not have to come off. Last screw on the far left side. Next thing you'll do is slide your screens back in. Your screens are clean and dry. Slide them back into place. This is an important part here. Please remember that the unit was off when you took the door off, and again the same way. If you look here closely, there's only one way that the spring goes into place, and it actually slides into the unit and locks in place, if you can see that. Okay, you're gonna push the spring back with your finger, trying to line up the catch for the door. Might take a second to get it in there properly. Okay, now that you've got your pin in place, your spring is locked behind the door. Remember, when putting this back in, it's important that you push back on the black tab slightly. Same thing here, just like the first time, you're gonna pull down and bend, getting the end piece in first, and then again with the last catch. All right, so now your door is secure. Last thing we're going to do is put the face of the door back on. And again, depending upon your model, you may need to lock the hinges or just slightly spread them apart so that they catch and your unit is secured. At this point, what I would do is turn the unit on with the remote control. Once the door opens up, you might get a little bit of debris or some grime on the lower door here. Just wipe it off. Give it about 5 minutes with it running. Wipe it off, and then you're good to go. Hope this was helpful.